Hey, welcome to Make Your Money Matter. I'm your host, Brad Barrett. Our show, as always, aims to help you create a better relationship with your money because, friends, we live in an age where information is everywhere, but it's really about finding the right information. Can we agree on that? And I think more importantly than that is how that right information pertains to you. And that's why we aim to do here each and every week on our show. And today, we're going to be talking about how much you are paying your financial advisor. And did you know? Studies have actually shown, which I will get into today, that not only does a financial advisor provide peace of mind, we're going to talk about that as well, but it may also add about 3 percentage points of net value in terms of portfolio returns. You heard me right. But before we get started, make sure to smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get into it. Now, obviously, when I talk about how much you're paying for financial advice or a financial advisor, I need to be very clear here, okay? I am one, all right? So obviously I'm coming at this with a little bit of bias, but I wanna share with you my experience of nearly over 2 decades now of what I've seen every day for nearly 20 years working with clients and where value is in terms of what you're paying for when it comes to a service, any service. Now, I did a show a few months ago around what to look for when searching or interviewing a financial advisor, and there's really 3 things. There's experience, credentials, and then there's the independence, all right? So be sure to check that video out. But when we talk about the experience side of it, that's what you're looking for when it comes to how much you're willing to pay. You want to look at all 3 of those pillars, in fact. Are they a fiduciary, for an example? Are they acting in your best interest? Are they a specialist in what you may need? I mean, the great example always is, you don't go to a brain surgeon for a knee problem and vice versa, right? You wouldn't want to go to a generalist when you actually may need something more specialized. So if you're, let's say you're a first responder, right? And you're in that world, you want to go to someone who actually works with first responders, understands deferred compensation plans, or maybe you're in a corporate environment, right? You want to go to someone who understands 401k, right? So just a little bit of insight, I think, into understanding value, really. And you ultimately have to find value for yourself. But I want to mention a study here, as I mentioned at the top of the show, that Vanguard actually did, where they were able to actually quantify the value of paying for advice. Now, the added value, in fact, of financial advisors, and I've always said this, right, when it comes to wealth management or overall wealth management, which is really the picture of your entirety of your financial picture. I mean, the word holistic actually comes from the Greek word olos, which basically means everything, right? Now, the actual word is actually spelled different, but if you look at it, it's where we get the word holistic, and it just means encompassing, all in. So when we talk about a holistic plan, there's really 3 things that we're going to focus on. One is portfolio management. The second is behavioral coaching, and the third is advanced planning. Those are the 3 legs to the tripod or the 3 legs to the stool of wealth management. And this Vanguard study broke down each one of them and their actual incremental value to your net portfolio returns or the potential for it over time. Now, let's take the first one for a second. The Vanguard study showed that portfolio management, working with an advisor, right, they can work with you to create a diversified portfolio on this portfolio management leg. Everything we talk about here on our show and what we do for our clients here at One Capital Management, they can also ensure that maybe you don't pay too much for those investments that you're looking at through research, or maybe it's not paying enough, hopefully you're not paying too much in taxes for those investments that you're getting into. So it actually has a lot to do with things like rebalancing and active management. And that has been shown through this study that can increase value to your net portfolio returns over time. And the study actually showed somewhere up to 1.2%. That's huge. That's just one leg of this 3-legged stool, right? The second leg is behavioral coaching. Now, really, if you think about behavioral coaching, what is that? What does that entail? That's essentially making sure you don't overreact or maybe even underreact to things like market volatility. This, to me, friends, is probably the one thing, like the unquantifiable thing that I've always noticed in being a financial advisor. But this study actually went into it because I think the biggest value your advisor can provide is behavioral coaching. It's most important, like I just mentioned, during market turbulence, when you feel the need to, maybe it's like abandoning your asset allocation and move to cash, for an example. I mean, to sum this up for a second, your advisor is there to counsel you, listen to your concerns, essentially guiding you on the right path, and your advisor work with you to add value throughout the course of your relationship. And this Vanguard study showed that this one stool, this one leg of behavioral coaching, right, can bring incremental value of up to 1.5%, which leaves us this third leg, if you will, that I call advanced planning. Now, advanced planning has a lot to do with my notion. I say all the time, it's not always what you own, but how you own it. And so the reality is, the whole understanding is, do you want to own it in a Roth versus a traditional IRA? Do you want to own it in a 401k, or do 401k conversions, or maybe backdoor Roth scenarios? I mean, do you want to own it in a trust? I mean, there's so many things you can go down here, and all the holistic advanced planning and estate planning, if you will. I mean, the quarterbacking that a financial advisor will do with you and your team, meaning your CPA, your estate planning attorney, maybe your insurance agent, right? This leg of advanced planning in this study actually showed that it can increase your value and returns over time. It may by 1%. You add all three of those up, that's how you get to about 3%. It's an amazing study. Now, obviously, I think any of us can poke holes at this here and there. And I'm with you because I've always said it's hard to quantify value because there's the quantifiable and the unquantifiable. But this study was able to go through it. And I'll put the link in the description box below. You can read more on it. But I did want to share that with you when you're looking at value and as you look at paying for an advisor. And really, end of the day, what you're receiving, right? And the value you get from a financial advisor is really the value that you are looking for that you may not know you need. And it may not be your neighbor or your family member or your friends, need. It might be different. So asking the right questions matter. And lastly, I want to end on that. I want to talk to you about, what you're paying an advisor. Friends, all I can say is this. There's really two fees that you care about, right? You get told one, but there's actually two. You're paying for a person's experience, their credentials, their knowledge, their wherewithal, right? That's the advisor's fee. Then you're also paying for the actual management, the portfolio construction, what it costs to have an ETF or a mutual fund inside there. Those added together is your total fee as a client. Don't get fooled by an advisor or someone out there saying, oh, I'm only 1%. Look under the hood. I can promise you there are likely other fees that you should know about. Doesn't mean you should move off of that person. It's not worth it. I'm not saying that. I'm just wanting you to know about that. So when you contextualize how much you're paying an advisor, ask them two parts, right? How much is your fee as a financial advisor? And secondary, how much am I paying for the actual manufacturing, if you will, of the portfolio construction? And how much does overall your expense ratios inside there, that's the key word there, for funds like ETFs and mutual funds, or any trading costs? And all those things add up. And that's what combines your total fee as a client. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that today. If you did, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a single episode. And as always, remember to make your money matter.